Welcome to Shul.com. We are learning from the book V'ha'erenenu, Enlighten Our Eyes by Rabbi Goldschmidt. It's a book on Shemirat Enayim and different tactics of it. We are on page 107, chapter 3, the purity of thought. Worlds gained in an instant. The Baal Hatanya is an excellent source on this issue of purity of thought. It's no disgrace, he writes, to have such thoughts pushing their way in and trying to steal the limelight. On the contrary, it's an opportunity granted us to firmly eject them, thereby avoiding the Torah prohibition as Bamidbar 15-39, do not stray after your heart and your eyes. Not every mitzvah calls for an action. Here is a case of a passive mitzvah, and every time we try to switch to a more kosher line of thought, it earns us rewards equal to a mitzvat aseh. When we refuse to yield to unwanted images tugging at our mind's eyes, we have reason to feel elevated, and even joy is equal to the simcha shel mitzvah when performing the mitzvah of sukkah and lulav. But you protest, how can I rejoice considering how low I must stand if such dishonorable thoughts keep entering my mind? Here the Baal Hatanya in Likutei Amorim, chapter 23 and 28, with one stroke of his masterful pen, swings our mood around 180 degrees. He makes us feel not battered but flattered. He tells of how there are two types of nahat ruach, delight, before Hashem. The first type is that of the extremely righteous who vanquish the evil elements inside them forever. The second type is the average man who constantly battles against the appealing impurities all around. His task is to keep on shoving away the impure thoughts coming from the heart and proceeding towards the mind. This caused tremendous effects in the heavenly realms. Shall we try to imagine what transpires in Shemayim when a Yehudi finds unholy thoughts and sensations rising inside him and dutifully quells them at once? The words of the Zohar, Parshat Terumah, give us a keyhole glimpse which reveals how the Sitra Achara, the source of all evil, is firmly settled on its perch like a mighty eagle, a bleak prospect. Indeed, who is able to unseat this towering menace? Suddenly, an act performed on earth is reported. A malach announces, so-and-so has just controlled his thoughts and quietly denied himself a minor indulgence. In defiance of today's decidedly casual, fun-loving society, he chose to crown Hashem as Melech over himself, his body, and his soul. Immediately, the Sitra Achara's power is weakened, for we have a principle that overcoming our Sitra Achara in this world correspondingly unseats the mighty Sitra Achara in the upper spiritual worlds as well. He is demoted, and his sublime light spreads all across the heavens. The light of this one small deed radiates up to the furthermost celestial spheres. As for our unsung hero below, Hazal, in Masechet Yomah 39a, promised that a person need only sanctify himself a little, and Shemayim will pour sanctity upon him in abundance. Some individuals may have a particular immoral fantasy that has been challenging them for years. Again, this is no cause to feel hopeless. This could actually be the purpose of his having been created. It is his personal task that Hashem has entrusted to him to privately keep on championing Kedushat HaMachshava and raising his flag ever higher. The Baal Hatanya continues that if the unwanted sight keeps vividly reappearing and replaying itself in your mind, the way to dismiss those unwanted thoughts is to completely ignore them and turn your mind to a totally different subject. Strike up a conversation with someone, sing yourself a song, or just distract yourself in some other way. Concentrate on something else completely, anything for that matter. Obviously, positive. That's far healthier and more practical than trying to push those images out of your mind. If there is a person standing in a cyclist's path, the cyclist would not confront him with logical arguments. He will but swiftly swerve to continue going forward. Never try to deal with undesirable thoughts directly. Just as touching mud gets your hands all dirty, so too struggling with evil brings you in close contact with it. Just focus your thoughts on something else, engross yourself in your chosen topic. With Hashem's help, you will succeed. In conclusion, the Baal Hatanya sheds light on something that poses a real riddle, an occurrence we meet up with all too often. Why do bothersome thoughts often choose to present themselves right in the middle of our learning or tefillah, praying and davening? What do we really want to do? Approach our Creator, or lehavdil, follow our base desires? Can we assume that our avodah is therefore worthless? Surely, if my davening and praying or learning would be up of worth, these forbidden thoughts would not be popping up. This phenomenon calls for some clarification. Two distinct yet coexisting forces are at work here. Thoughts of Torah and Yir'ah emanate from the godly soul within us, while desires for materialism have their source in our animalistic nefesh. These two opposing forces are permanently engaged in a power struggle, vying for control. As soon as our Yetzer Tov takes charge, Satan's side feels threatened and rushes desperately to entrench itself deeper into the mind. This explains those unsolicited, distracting thoughts that arise out of the blue. It doesn't mean something's wrong. It's just the Satan having an allergic reaction to our spiritual sincerity. The two combatants function simultaneously, yet independently. Hence, despite the Tzad HaTum'ah reacting so fiercely against one's learning and davening and praying, it is a separate entity. One cannot therefore conclude that a service to the King of Kings is unworthy. Our mitzvah, though, under attack, remains of immense value and has in no way gone down the drain. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.